To get started on this exercise, you should have already completed your hand compositions exercise, as well as creating a set of custom color swatches in Illustrator that use the colors from your hand composition. The next thing we need to do is to launch Adobe Illustrator, and let's create a new document. The size of this document is going to be 11 by 17 inches, so 11 inches wide and 17 inches tall. We do want to make sure our color mode is set to RGB, and we'll say Create. The first thing we need to do after creating our new document is to launch and open our custom color swatches. In order to do this, go to your Swatches panel, down to your Libraries, and at the very bottom choose Other Library. And then from here, locate your custom color swatches that we created last time. Mine's on the desktop, so here it is. When we say Open, this is going to open up all of your color swatches in a separate panel, and this is the panel that we want to use. So I'm going to dock it into my other side. In addition, you may want to make these thumbnails much larger so that you can see them and be able to quickly and easily select exactly the colors that you want. Now we can take our JPEG of our hand composition and place it into our design. We'll go to File, down to Place, locate your hand composition, and then click and drag until it covers your entire screen. It's okay if it goes over by just a little bit, as long as the entire area is nice and covered. To set up our layers, we're going to go to our Layers panel. Let's lock down our composition layer and create a new layer. And this one is what I'm going to call Large Shapes. To set up your layers, go to your Layers panel. Let's lock down Layer 1, create a new layer. And this new layer we're going to call Small Details. Inside of this layer, you can use either your pen or your pencil tool to draw off these layers, whichever you're most comfortable with. If you use your pencil tool, double-click on the tool icon and open up the tool options. We want to be able to draw more accurate lines, so bring your fidelity slider closer to the accurate side, either all the way or just slightly before. Also, make sure you've checked on Fill New Pencil Strokes, as well as Keep Selected. Everything else will keep exactly the same. We'll say OK to that. Now I can go in and draw off these small details that make up this entire design. To do this, I'm specifically looking for the outer lines and any major details that I could draw just to make it look like it's going to show up much better. So for instance, the fingernails and the outline of the fingers would be a small detail to get. Also, any major curves or lines or wrinkles that are in this hand would be the next thing that I would get as well. You don't have to get absolutely everything, but give an idea of what this would look like if you had the smallest details to start from. I'm going to use the colors from my custom color swatches, and I'm not going to use any of the patterns for now. I just want to use the basic colors that I'm working in. It doesn't matter what color you use. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be jumping back and forth from a variety of different colors. But I like to start off with my shadows. I'm going to set my fill color to be one of these, and I'm going to turn off my stroke color for now. Now, if you need to be able to see where you're drawing, Shift-X will give you the ability to quickly swap back and forth between your fill and your stroke color. So, hitting Shift-X, I'm going to do my outline, and inside this layer, if I wanted to draw off, say, a simple shadow or an outline shape, click and drag and draw around it. Then when I let go, I can do Shift-X, and that will fill in the entire area as well. Another good keyboard shortcut to know is Shift-Command-A, and that will deselect what you have. So once again, choosing your color, go through and add some of the small details that you need for this design. Filling it in with whatever fill color that you need. Oops. When you're finished, if you need to, you can turn off your layer 1, your photograph layer, and see what kind of details that you're creating. So take some time now and go through all these small details. All right, with the small details done, you can now go to your Layers panel, Lock down your small layers detail, and let's create another layer that's in between layer 1 and underneath your small details. This will be our background layer. For our background, I'm going to choose just a mid-tone color. In my case, I'm going to choose one of my darker mid-tones of purple. I'm going to make a rectangle that's sandwiched between our photograph and our details, and this will allow us to see our illustration just by itself. Now I can always turn off this background in order to reference my photograph for later on. With this done, now that I've got my small details, you get an idea of the overall shape of what your final design is going to look like. The next thing we need to do is to fill in larger shapes that can represent where the large areas of shadows, midtones, and highlights can be. Now we intentionally want to keep this very, very loose, so I'm not going to use my pencil tool. Rather, I'm going to use my regular pen tool so I can get some good angular shapes. Going back to my layers panel, create one more layer that's above your background. This will be our large shapes layer. With these large shapes, I'm going to turn off my background. Working from darkest to lightest tends to work best. I'm going to choose my dark tones, and very quickly and almost ineffectively, or inefficiently, I'm going to fill in with large overlapping shapes. The other thing I'm going to do at the very bottom of my toolbox, sometimes you want to draw these shapes behind each other. So swapping back and forth between drawing in front or draw normal and draw behind mode comes in handy. Notice that the keyboard shortcut is Shift D to swap back and forth between both of these. So for instance, if I wanted to fill in this large shadow shape underneath the fingers, I've got a color selected. It doesn't have to be the true color that you see on the screen, since we do want to be a little bit loose with it. And again, I'm going to swap over to outline mode. But all I want to do is to quickly and easily fill it in with just that solid color. Then pick another shadow color and very quickly fill in a shadow shape that you see on your screen as well. So repeating this process, I'm going to do all of my shadows first, not minding the midtones, certainly not wanting to get over the highlights, but if they overlap, that's okay for just a little bit. But you can see how I've got an angular feature for all of the drawings. Every once in a while I'll go back and I'll try to reselect a different hue, as long as it's in the same intensity, as long as the value is exactly the same. In other words, I'm just working in shadows for now. This whole composition will still come together. So take some time now, go through each of your shadows. Be mindful not to go into any midtones and highlights as you create your large shapes. With this done, you can turn on your background and get an idea of what it looks like. Now let's repeat the process using our midtones. Select a midtone. Again, it doesn't have to be the perfect color. And then simply go through and highlight where you see those areas. If you see a change in midtone or a change in color, feel free to change up the hue that you're working in, but just make sure that it's the midtone area that you're working on and not a highlight or overlapping too much of a shadow. Again, I'm working in draw behind mode so that everything that I create will easily overlap with everything else that I've drawn. All right, with your large shapes of midtones and shadows done, you can turn it on and see your progress. And remember to think of large areas. I'm not worrying about details. I'm not certainly worrying about small areas and zooming in close. Keep it large and remember to change up your colors. The final thing we'll do is to hit the highlights for our design. As with the others, take it one part at a time, zoom out, and work quickly to fill in those gaps. Later on, we're going to add small details, which will let you clean up and further refine these edges much easier. All right, with this done, let's save up our document. And in the next video, we'll talk about how to add these small details to your final composition.